mysterious new trail cam photo just surfaced, and it has people convinced we're finally staring Bigfoot right in the face. From its strange shape to its creepy movement, the legend has finally stepped out of the shadows. Let's get into it. The new trail cam footage. An anonymous tip led us to a trail cam photo captured deep in the southeastern woods of the US, and it's going viral fast. Right away, your eyes go straight to the bottom right of the image. There it is, a dark, human-shaped figure caught mid-step. But it's not standing tall like a person. Nope, it's hunched over, almost like it's sneaking through the trees. Now here's where it gets strange. The arms and legs look way longer than normal, and the upper body looks wide and powerful. And the head? It's cone-shaped, something that's come up a lot in reported Bigfoot sightings. But it gets even weirder. This thing isn't just pasted into the photo. It blends right in with the shadows and leaves. The way the light hits it, the way branches partially block it, it all seems natural. That makes it way less likely to be faked. Not impossible, but not easy to fake either. Zooming in, you can tell the figure has a matte surface, nothing shiny, just dark, rough texture. It could be thick fur, and no obvious seams, no gloves, no visible costume parts. Still, with the low resolution, we can't totally rule out a disguise. The blur is, of course, giving classic trail cam vibe. These cameras often catch movement with just enough delay to make things fuzzy, especially when something's moving fast. And perhaps the one key detail is the way it walks. Unlike a human walking upright, this figure leans forward, knees bent, almost like it's ready to bolt. Experts call this the creature crouch. It's the perfect stance for staying quiet and quick in thick forest. Pretty smart for a made-up creature, right? Out of all the trail cam photos floating around out there, this one is definitely near the top. The body structure, the movement, the environment, it all adds up to something worth a second look. If it is a hoax, it's a really good one. But if it's real, we may have just caught a glimpse of something people have been chasing for generations. And there's more, the climbing shadow. A man named Kenna shares a video he took while walking through camp early one morning. He had that eerie feeling like someone or something was watching him from up on the ridge. So, he did what any of us would do. He pulled out his phone and zoomed in. At first, there's nothing out of the ordinary. But during the zoom out, something wild happens. It looks like a giant arm reaches up, and the figure starts climbing a tree. Kenna didn't even catch it at first. It was his daughter who noticed it later while rewatching the footage. And when you see it, it's really hard to unsee. Something big, something heavy, something that shouldn't be able to move that smoothly, pulling itself up like it's done it 100 times. Even the camp host took it seriously. He posted a sign warning visitors about Bigfoot activity in the area. Whether it's a real threat or just legend keeping people on edge, that's up to you to decide. Viral footage from Georgia. Now, let's talk about the footage that's blowing up online. On April 19, 2025, a TikTok user named Dead Cinema posted a clip that's gone absolutely viral. Captured on a trail cam in Georgia, location undisclosed, the video claims to show a Bigfoot looking straight into the camera. And yikes, this one's personal. It has jagged teeth, an ape-like face, and just looks completely worn out, like it's been living rough in the forest for years. The whole thing feels raw and gritty. People are freaking out because this one is surprisingly clear, not the usual blurry shadow running through trees kind of thing. Of course, the internet's divided. Some say it's a crazy good CGI or AI creation, totally possible with the tech today. But Georgia isn't new to Bigfoot lore. The Blue Ridge Mountains and Appalachian region have had sightings for decades. In fact, back in 1988, in the North Georgia mountains, multiple people reported a giant hairy creature, and huge 15-inch footprints were found near the area. So, maybe this new footage fits right in. One commenter summed it up perfectly. This one looks more legit than those other Bigfoots who look like they just got back from the spa. And honestly, it's fair. If Bigfoot's been living off the grid, wouldn't he look a little messed up? facing the trees. And then there's this photo taken by a man who felt like something was watching him. Later, when he looked back at his shot, he noticed what seemed like a face, barely visible among the trees. Zoom in, and it kind of looks like a crouched figure hiding behind the branches. But on closer inspection, it might just be twisted roots and shadows lining up in just the right way. Nature's weird like that. It's probably just a classic case of pareidolia, you know, when your brain sees faces where there aren't any, the all-fours encounter in Michigan. But one of the scariest moments yet, it comes from a small town in southern Michigan. A guy out filming the fresh spring scenery suddenly hears something in the bushes. He walks over, and there it is. Something massive comes charging at him on all fours. You can hear the panic in his voice. It's loud, it's fast, and it doesn't look human. But why would Bigfoot, this supposed upright walking creature, suddenly drop down and run on all fours? Well, think about gorillas or chimps. They're primates too, and they often use something called a fist gait, walking on bent fingers for speed and stability, especially in tricky terrain like slopes or thick underbrush. Running on all fours also keeps them lower to the ground. That means harder to spot and easier to escape quickly. And in dense forests, that's a serious advantage. So maybe this behavior isn't strange at all. If Bigfoot is some kind of undiscovered primate within a remote forest. On October 14, 1994, deep within a remote forest somewhere in the United States, two men were out on a quiet hunting trip. It was supposed to be a routine outing, just nature, silence, and the hope of spotting some game. But as the early evening hours rolled in, something happened that turned an ordinary day into a chilling and unforgettable encounter. As they moved cautiously through the trees, the men noticed something strange. A large, dark figure was moving steadily in the distance.
He stopped fucking looking at us too.
So what? I wanted to walk again. He looked fucking big.
Now he's walking.
You got a gun?
Can't tell. He's fucking looking my way and pointing something. He fucking scared me.
No, he's not a Sasquatch, eh?
I don't know. Can't fucking tell with the camera.
It was partially hidden by the forest, walking upright and slowly making its way through the underbrush. From the moment they spotted it, they knew it was not a typical animal. It didn't move like a bear, moose, or anything else native to the area, and it certainly wasn't human, at least not one that looked or moved like any person they had ever seen. The figure didn't behave like most wild animals would when confronted by people. Rather than retreat or flee into the safety of the woods, this strange creature appeared to notice the hunters and continued moving at a steady pace, occasionally turning its head as if to observe them. Its body was massive, larger than any human, and its proportions were unusual. The shoulders were broad, the limbs were long and heavy, and it walked with a slow, deliberate gait. It appeared to be covered in dark hair or fur from head to toe. Despite the shaky footage captured during this moment, the creature's sheer size and strange movements were clearly visible. It towered above the surrounding brush and trees, and even from a distance, it was clear that this was not something anyone could easily explain. Bigfoot in Long Island. This next footage, captured by a man named Mike and later associated with the Long Island Bigfoot community, became one of the most compelling visual accounts tied to the legendary Sasquatch. What made this sighting especially unusual was how calm and composed the creature appeared. Instead of hiding or running away, it remained in view for an extended period.
Thank you. Jesus, thank you, baby love. He's huge. He is. I don't. Sorry, I'm shaking. I love it. It's not like fear. It's just, no, not now. Let it go. Oh, good.
Most reported Bigfoot sightings are fleeting, just a glimpse before the figure disappears behind the trees. But this one stood its ground. It didn't act aggressive, but there was a sense of awareness, as if the creature knew it was being watched and chose to watch back. The environment provided a useful sense of scale. Behind the creature was a fence, and this helped viewers estimate its height and size. Based on comparisons, the figure seemed to stand well over 7 feet tall. The limbs, especially the arms, hung far below what would be considered normal for a human being. Its posture was slightly hunched, and the head appeared somewhat pointed at the top, possibly resembling the sagittal crest seen in great apes like gorillas. Some night cam images. Later on, 2 additional pieces of evidence on Bigfoot's existence came up. Night vision trail camera images taken using infrared or green phosphor technology, tools frequently used by nighttime hunters and researchers. The first image showed a tall, humanoid figure moving through grass at the forest's edge. The creature was caught mid-stride, walking away from the camera at an angle. Once again, the long arms were the most striking feature, hanging well past the hips. This is a key trait often reported in Bigfoot sightings. The figure had no visible neck, and the shape of the head was slightly pointed, similar to the earlier footage. In the second frame, taken just a few moments later, the same figure had moved further into the brush. The new angle gave a better view of its muscular build. Its back showed a wide, V-shaped taper from shoulder to waist, and the posture remained unnatural for a human. The proportions didn't match those of any typical person. If it were a costume, it would have required extremely long prosthetic limbs, and even then, the natural movement seen between the 2 frames would be hard to replicate. Importantly, there were no signs of a costume at all, no seams, no zippers, no sagging fabric that might suggest a hoax. The way the muscles seemed to move beneath the skin and the way the creature's stride stretched between the 2 images suggested a tall, powerful animal, not a person in disguise. The tall grass helped offer a sense of scale, and researchers estimated that the creature stood somewhere between 7 and 8 feet tall. The stride between the 2 frames was wider than what a normal human could manage at a regular walking pace. It hinted at a different kind of movement, one not entirely human. The one with the lone hiker. Around 2:30 a.m., deep within the forest, a lone hiker was on a peaceful solo trek through the quiet wilderness. The night was still, broken only by the distant sounds of crickets and the soft crunch of his own footsteps along the dirt path. Surrounded by towering trees and thick shrubbery, the hiker moved carefully through the darkness, guided by his flashlight. But just as he passed a dense wall of shrubs, he heard something that stopped him cold. Turning around, he swept his light toward the noise. That's when he saw it.
You see that shine right through there.
Just beyond the bushes, 2 bright eyes reflected the beam of his flashlight, eyes shining, glowing back at him from something hidden in the dark. The figure stood tall, looming well over 6 feet. Though partially obscured by vegetation, its upright stance was unmistakable. Quickly, he reached for his phone and managed to capture a brief glimpse before the figure retreated into the darkness, vanishing as suddenly as it had appeared. From that point on, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being followed. Every crack of a branch or rustle in the trees put him further on edge. Something large was nearby, he was certain of it. But whatever it was kept its distance, never showing itself again for the rest of the night. Not long after, in a forest across the border in Canada, a ranger had an unsettling encounter of his own. While patrolling the woods, the ranger noticed movement among the trees. He grabbed his camera and began filming, capturing what appeared to be a large, hairy figure walking upright. What caught his attention wasn't just its size or strange appearance. It was that the creature was holding something in its arms. On closer inspection, it seemed to be carrying a small animal, perhaps a bird, chicken, or turkey. The gait of the creature was remarkably human-like. It moved with an easy, relaxed pace, showing no sign that it was aware it was being filmed. The footage raised new questions about Bigfoot's behavior. Many have long speculated about what such a creature might eat, and this sighting seemed to support the idea that it might be a predator, or at least a meat eater. While the ranger never saw the figure again, The brief sighting left a lasting impression, and he has remained alert during every patrol since, hoping for another glimpse. In Washington State. Meanwhile, in a provincial park near Ross Lake, an area straddling the border of Washington State in the U.S., a group of campers from the channel Adventures R Us experienced something just as puzzling. During their spring trip, they were enjoying a peaceful afternoon by the lake. Wildlife was abundant in the area, and at one point, a curious deer wandered right into their campsite. Excited, they grabbed a camera to record the encounter. The moment felt serene, with the sounds of birds chirping and children laughing in the distance. But when they later reviewed the footage, something caught their attention, something they hadn't noticed at the time. Toward the end of the video, just as the deer stepped out of frame, a loud, bone-chilling scream pierced through the natural background. The sound was unlike any known animal call. It wasn't a coyote, it wasn't a mountain lion, and it certainly didn't sound like anything human. The scream stood out, alien, powerful, and eerie. Whatever had made that noise was close by, even though no one had seen anything unusual during the recording. It left the campers shaken and wondering, had they unknowingly shared their campsite with something far less peaceful? At a solo camping trip. Further into the wilderness, another lone adventurer, known online as Grassman58, was out for a solo camping trip at Bailey Lake. The weather was gray and heavy with moisture, hinting at approaching rain, but the camper didn't mind. He had planned to stay just one night, choosing a wind-sheltered spot tucked between the trees. While hiking the perimeter of the lake, he noticed dozens of animal tracks scattered across the muddy ground. Most seemed ordinary, deer, raccoons, perhaps even bears. But then the quiet was broken by a strange sound.
Tracks. I don't know if the camera picked that up, but I just heard what sounded like a knock. Ooh, second one. That way. Anyways, tons of animal tracks around the lake.
A single knock echoed through the trees, followed by a second, more distant one. He paused, trying to locate the source. Tree knocking has long been associated with Bigfoot encounters, theorized as a form of communication or warning. Could that be what he had just heard? Although he spent the night in his car, hoping to capture more evidence, the rest of the night passed uneventfully. But the strange knocks he'd heard earlier lingered in his thoughts. Sounds too rhythmic and deliberate to dismiss. The final sighting in Chilliwack River Valley. On August 12, 2022, a lone camper made his way deep into the thick forests of British Columbia's Chilliwack River Valley. The area has a long history of strange sightings and stories about Bigfoot, so he was both excited and a little cautious. His first night was quiet, nothing out of the ordinary, until about 11 p.m. That's when everything changed. Suddenly he began hearing heavy footsteps slowly circling his tent. It wasn't a deer or a raccoon. These sounded heavier, more deliberate. Then came a loud crash. Something had knocked over the rock formation he had built earlier in the day. He scrambled out to take a look but couldn't see what had caused it. The next morning, he returned to investigate.
Okay, it's the next day. Now, this is the rock statue, the balanced rocks that we're talking about. This rock was knocked off of here. I'll give you some idea how high this is. This is perched on a large boulder.
The balanced rocks were still mostly standing, except for the top one, which had been knocked off. It didn't look like an accident. Whatever had done it must have reached up to do so. He pointed out that the base rock was perched on a much larger boulder and the stack came up to his chest, clearly not something a small animal could reach easily. As he explored the area around the rock stack, he made another discovery: tracks. The ground was firm and covered with gravel, making prints difficult to leave. But still, there they were. A set of footprints, walking one in front of the other, like a person would. He bent down and examined them. One print in particular caught his attention. It had a visible heel and 5 clear toes. By comparing it to his own foot, he estimated it to be about the same length, around a size 12, but much wider. He couldn't make a proper plaster cast, as the print wasn't deep enough. But the shape was undeniable. That night, things got even weirder. The forest around him felt different, quieter, heavier. He set up his gear and tried to stay calm, even though he knew wild animals like bears and cougars could be nearby. He made sure to talk out loud from time to time, hoping the noise would keep anything curious at a distance. As he filmed the dark surroundings to show what nighttime looked like in the wilderness, a new sound broke through the silence.
Did you guys just hear that? Okay, my gear is in the camp, in the tent. I just heard a knocking sound.
A sharp knocking sound echoing through the trees. It was subtle, but unmistakable. Something was out there again, watching, listening. And it wasn't done yet. These string of sightings, ranging from eerie screams and silent stalkers to large bipedal creatures seen on camera, paints a scary picture of what might be lurking in the shadows of North America's forests. The consistent details shared across different encounters, towering height, upright posture, long arms, and glowing eyes, have led many to believe there may be something more than myth behind the Bigfoot legend. Whether a highly intelligent animal, an undiscovered primate, or something else entirely, the mystery is far from over. But the truth is out there, and maybe Bigfoot is too.